Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO. This is my 5Q interview podcast where I speak with visionary leaders, healers, and souls that are on a roll. And today I get to complete our series for the Sun Valley Joy Summit with the amazing Erica. How are you today?
Really well, thanks. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. All right. As I said, it's a 5Q interview. So I will jump right in so people can learn about who you are. So, number one, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you'll be sharing at the Sun Valley Joy Summit.
Yeah, so I've been here in Sun Valley off and on since the late 80s and 15 of those years in the Bay Area. And I grew up back east originally. And I guess my quip about the last few decades of my life is I've done clean energy. So I did a lot of environmental work over the years in nonprofits and startups. And then I also had a parallel track of getting involved with energy healing work. And more working on our inner environments, which of course determine how, influences our behaviors and actions and our values. So if we want to make the world a better place, like working on our internal worlds is a huge piece of that. And so since COVID, I've actually focused more on the healing work. And I do one-on-one sessions and also teach classes because I love capacitating people in doing their own healing and working with energy. And so at the Joy Summit, I'll share techniques to develop an awareness of energy and give you tools to do energetic self-care and some basic healing. And when I say awareness of energy, it's your personal energy, it's also others that we're in relationship with. And some of the things we'll focus on in the summit are simple techniques, but really profound, such as grounding, coming home to ourselves energetically, clearing our field, quieting the mind, all from an energy point of view.
Fantastic. I love that. I'm actually going to share the screen so everyone can see, we're all visual learners, that you will be teaching on the 11th, which is June 11th, 2025 at 3:30 to 5:30. And that, as you can see, as you read, your workshop is Vibrational Joy, fun and effective tools to explore the joy and energy of grounding, quieting the mind, healthy boundaries, and healing. The Sun Valley Joy Summit. It is such a beautiful place where so many different people are coming together to celebrate joy, which to me is such a gift because not everyone on a daily basis thinks about joy as a way of living, right? Sometimes it's survival, it's what am I going to do? What's my next meal going to look like? So it's really powerful when people are focused on joy. Okay, so let's go into our next question, which is how did you get into energy and why is it a useful lens?
Yeah, so I like to share how I got into it because it helps take energy work out of like an esoteric or weird or woo-woo place or special place and helps bring it into something way more accessible. And I want to say even natural because it's how we're made. And when I say it's how we're made, it's meaning that we're energy, the world around us is energy. From a physics and physical point of view, that's actually not controversial because of, material world, vibrating molecules. But maybe a new piece for many regarding energy work is that thoughts and emotions also have energy, and that we can take on stuff that's not ours and we can lose our own life force. So sometimes you feel overwhelmed or taking on the weight of the world, or you feel invaded or really weighed down again, or other times scattered, drained, exhausted. And so those can be indications of not great boundaries. And because we can get mixed up with other people's energies, sometimes something as simple as doing a clearing that is separating out from what's not ours and coming home to ourselves can make a huge difference in how we feel. Um, my One of my early main teachers talked about energy work as a missing voice in our culture. It's ignored in our culture, and yet it's really pretty potent. So just quickly about my story about how did I get into energy? I was already a bit of a meditator in a more traditional kind of Buddhist way. And when I came upon Buddhism in college, it was like coming home. It was like this profound ancient wisdom tradition. But I did struggle a lot with my personal practice. Really got into a wrestling match trying to quiet my mind. Like it was not, I didn't develop a very satisfying practice. And then when I moved here in the 90s, moved back here, I was actually hit by a car on Main Street. And when I got home from the hospital, someone was like, there's a really good healer in town. And she came over and gave me a reading and a healing. And I felt so much better. And the information was stunning. And after a few sessions, I'm like, can I learn to do this myself? Or do I have to come to you for the rest of my life to feel better? Because the healings were going into then longer term issues, not just the accident. And again, making a huge difference. So she moved back to California, and a friend and I drove down 1 week in a month to study with her and then eventually moved to the Bay Area for other reasons and kept studying the healing work. And it just made such a difference in my personal life. And then I started taking on some clients on the side and teaching classes on the side. And again, I share that little vignette of how I got into it just to emphasize that my belief that's naturally human to that energy impacts us all the time. And what we're doing is bringing it more lucid when we do energy work. We're bringing it more aware of what our involvement is. And then when we have tools, it's a skill set that we can learn and deepen. It can really change the quality of our lives.
Mm, yes.
And
Yeah.
then one more thought on the usefulness of it is that it's quite I want to say it's accessible, it's empowering, it helps discernment, and we can not just help ourselves, but help others. So and then it's like Tesla says, I mean, there's our self-care, which I'll be teaching in the Joy Summit mainly, but you can go deep with energy work. And like Tesla says, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think of terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Vibration. Yeah.
If we can go deep with the energy work as far as like our influence and impact and understanding what's influencing us.
Hmm. I love that. And yeah, when you can get those tools throughout our human journey, we actually can move forward when naturally we're all going to know this. We're going to have breakdowns. We're going to have breakthroughs, right? You're going to get a flat tire energetically, and then you're going to be like, how do I change that tire? How do I patch that tire? How do I like move forward? How do I get back on a roll and keep the momentum? So, question three leads into that, which is how does what you'll be sharing contribute to joy?
So I'm still exploring that question. Like, what's really interesting about being a part of this Joy Summit is to do a deeper dive into joy and orient my work around it, which I hadn't. Honestly, I hadn't before. Like my energetic self-care, getting into the world of healing, helping others, teaching it, capacitating others was joyful for sure. But a lot of it was, as you said before, like sometimes it's about help survival. Like we're hanging on by a thread, taking care of ourselves, trying to fix the flat tire, and then to move to a place where to cultivate a state of joy in a deeper where we're more connected to ourselves, we're more connected to purpose, meaning, what's heart opening is a privilege, but I want to say also like a responsibility because we're vibrational beings, so we match each other. We affect the world around us. We're affected by the world around us, and when we're in a more grounded, centered, in a joyful place, we can affect others. So that's one piece of it. But I'd want to say, I think that how does the energetic self-care contribute to joy? One big one is by being ourselves more and knowing ourselves more. And so, like the teaching at the Oracle of Delphi says, like, know thyself. It doesn't say fix thyself. It's like, know thyself. And when we know ourselves, knowledge is power. And we can make better choices when we know ourselves more. We can make ones that are more in alignment with our values and again, our purpose. And I want to say our soul. And from an energetic point of view, too, when we do our self-care energetically, meaning clear what's not ours, come home to ourselves energetically, get grounded, are some basic starting points for that. We are more present And again, that's a huge piece for so many wisdom traditions. And there's a joy in being present versus missing our lives, right? There's a joy in being in the experience of ourselves. And then when we can make better, when we're more connected to ourselves and can make better choices, we tend to enhance the relationships that again contribute to more joy and happiness. And I want to say embodiment's another piece, like being more embodied, being more present that way. There's a joy in simply the human experience, and that's not to ignore the pain and suffering and challenges of being human, but can we enhance what is joyful in our human experience? And then energetic self-care can help with like just relaxation and letting go, again, changing the quality of our experience. So like relaxing the nervous system, being in a more expansive state, which cultivates more joy.
Mhm.
And joy often seems to stem from connection to ourselves, to each other, to the sacred, to nature, like joy, like creating connections that enhance that state of joy. And so energy work can be really good about, again, like discerning what's nourishing and what's not nourishing and helping change the relationships that having boundaries where something's hard on us and cultivating relationship that's nourishing.
Yes to all of that. Fantastic. Yeah, boundaries are so important. I feel like it's a part of our joy. I think the results of joy can be we're clear what we want to absorb in this lifetime and what we choose to have, you know, a no. No is a complete sentence.
Right, right.
All right. So, question number four then is so, why is joy important? And particularly, you talked about embodiment, right? So, having joy in the body, like when you're just lit up, like how does that shift our experiences while also being grounded, right? Because you can be like bliss, joy, unicorn, sparkles, and rainbows, and you're never like, you forget to pay your bills, you know? So, how do we find joy in a space that it can be in the body and it can be grounding and just know that it's an important role of who we are?
Yeah, I'm just gonna like touch on the subject. It's a big one that I'm still unpacking, but again, like this orientation towards joy is really exciting because I think it's again not just I used to trivialize joy or being happy in a weird way, like that productivity was more important or being responsible was more important, and that joy or happiness would be a byproduct, which it often is. Viktor Frankl talk about how it ensues, but like to do things that cultivate joy I think are actually incredibly important to one being human. Like Howard Thurman, who's an influence on Dr. Martin Luther King, would talk about, like, do what makes you feel alive, because what the world needs is for people to come alive. And I'd say, yes, joy is one of those things that help us be more fully human and to participate in the larger picture in a more connected way and that it is a way of accessing our spiritual power. And with, I think, a lot of things that erode what being human is. Like, I have a little interest in something called transhumanism, which is this merger of technology and the human. I think it's scary. And so, how do we go into like the joys of actually a fully human embodied human experience, like spirit and body? I think is really important for not just our personal well-being, but societal, cultural, and keeping at bay things that disempower us and that pull away, erode the quality of life and even actual life from people. So I think this it wards off, I want to say, authoritarianism and totalitarianism because those tend to feed on fear and things like loneliness. Hannah Arendt was a famous scholar of World War II, sat in the Nuremberg trials, and one of her big takeaways, she wrote a book called The Origins of Totalitarianism, and one of her big takeaways is that loneliness was a big fertile ground for totalitarianism. So I think owning our own authority and living our values, like joy, again, like is not just like a huge piece of our personal well-being and physical health, but like cultural health and societal health, and keeping things more in harmony. Much more to say about all that. It could be much more
Hmm.
eloquent, but I think it's really, I've come to understand like how powerful joy is, and that's um, not something to be trivialized. Or
Mm.
see.
And you get a 2 hour juicy amount of time at your workshop to go through all these different points and pieces. And yeah, I love the background and the history of it. And I really align with what you said because I'm from the Midwest. It's like work ethic, work ethic. If you're just like overly happy and having fun all the time, then you're distracted from creating a career or purpose driven life where, all right, let's make it happen. And if you are following your path, your purpose, or in India, they call it your dharma, then through that, joy will just exude through your pores. Where I have a different framing of it now, where I feel that when you choose to vibrate, right, and have healthy boundaries, all of these line items that are on your flyer for the workshop, and you choose a path of healing. I know so many people, this is like so many people I know are saying they're on their healing journey. And I almost feel like, can we just chalk it up that life is a healing journey? Because, yeah, there's so much to say about that. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel that we can set intentions and choose that joy is our vibrational energy, right? Just like you said, the Nikolai Tesla, where it's the frequencies and the energies and the vibrations. And when you can put those intentions there, and big acknowledgement for Hillary Anderson for choosing to vibrate at a level of community, global awareness, and knowing that intuitively that joy is not to be taken granted for. And so many people, especially if you're born in North America, you always feel like, well, we're the privilege, we're number one, and you feel like you deserve to have it all. And I love your framing of it, Erica, where you're saying it's a responsibility. And that's like the keyword response. Like we get to respond to the world, not react, and choose, all right, am I going to interact with this human being in a Debbie Downer way, like wah, wah, wah? Or are you going to say, hey, what lights you up? Right? Because I'm lit up right now. I'm going to be speaking at the Sun Valley Joy Summit and I can't wait to be there. Do you have any speaking engagements, anything else? And this is, of course, the perfect segue into question number 5, which is when you're up to something and you're planning for the future, which is to be a featured speaker at the Sun Valley Joy Summit. And then you have in person embodied energy meditations, you have intuition development, energy healing training as well, summer, and it continues in the fall. And then, of course, in August, you have working with the energy of Saturn archetype. So, Sun Valley Joy Summit, it is happening. And so, what is your website so people can know how to get there?
Yeah, it's my name, ericalinson.com. And I don't have social media yet, but if you sign up for the newsletter on the website or email me, which is on the website, I send out class announcements. And again, I work with people one-on-one, and both readings and healings and then tutoring. But I love teaching. I love capacitating people to work with energy. Because again, it's I'll say this is kind of funny, but the teacher of my teacher, a lot of these techniques came from like Freemasonry, secret society stuff. And I think
Mm-hmm.
like taking it out of these secret places and helping capacitate people's awareness and again, lucidity of some really profound ways to work with the unseen, which again, we all feel and it's all natural, is what's so freeing, so empowering, and so ultimately joyful. Am I supposed to end with
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah, well, let's jump into, of course, the fact that people can find you on your website. And you're going to be here speaking
Mhm.
on day one, June 11th, and you can see all these phenomenal other featured speakers and all the gifts. And I like to say we all have our zones of genius, right? And so this is Nessa, who's on the team as well, that's flying in from Costa Rica. So this is definitely an international event. And Dana as well, that lives in Mexico. She's a friend. Cal, she's amazing. And there's Hillary, who we were acknowledging, Clay by Shay. So yeah, I'm super joyful because I got to interview all of these extraordinary souls that just are lit up in what they're able to share. And you can see all these descriptions, and you can see yours right there for Vibrational Joy. And these podcasts that we're doing, you go to the top of the sunvalleyjoysummit.com and you can see a series of the podcasts. And we'll, of course, add this one very soon. And of course, the dates for 2026 will be launched at the event. Hillary will let everyone know. And let's just have the momentum and the ripple effect and the vibration of joy to continue throughout the years. And thank you for your participation in this summit. And thank you for being on the podcast today. And if anyone out there is enjoying vibrating at a place of joy, then go to the website that will be in the descriptions of the podcast below. And thanks again for being here, Erica. Appreciate you.
Dave, thanks so much. Appreciate you too. And I'm so excited to go to so many things at the Joy Summit. Thanks.
Absolutely.
So I'll get the word out.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Best to you.
Ciao.